Today's episode is a vulnerable one, very vulnerable, and it's also one of my favorite ones yet. I am sharing something I have quietly been working on behind the scenes, and I haven't shared it with anyone outside my family until now. It is my first book that is a non-cookbook, and it is a memoir. It is about RV life, a decade on the road for me and my family. But it's so much more than that. It's also about listening for the whisper that says there's another way. My husband, Dan, joins me for this one, and I will tell you that his teenagers, not to be confused with our children, different set of teenagers, make a guest appearance in the episode and the book, but we talk about them in the episode. And also in this episode, I cry. I think it might be the first time full-on tears have happened in a podcast episode. We talk about how this book came to be, who it's for, and what happens when you stop waiting for someday. If you have been feeling a creative nudge or craving more from your life, this is your sign. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi, Megan. Welcome back to your podcast.
Thanks. Hi from the basement. How's upstairs?
It's nice.
Good.
Sun's out. I think this is the second time we've done this. And I believe we were talking before you hit record. This was my idea, right?
This podcast episode was 100% your idea, and I loved it.
Oh, all right. I thought it would be fun to talk about something that you have started. You've talked a long time about writing a book, probably for years.
Yeah.
And you had even started writing stuff down, but then something happened on our last road trip out to Montana, and you kind of went crazy writing. And so I thought it would be fun to talk about that because you had wanted to do it for so long. And first, why a book in the first place, and then what happened that got you going?
Yeah, I know. And just to acknowledge that you mentioned I started writing before. So I did start writing a book last fall, and I still want to write that book, but it got to the point where it felt a little, I don't know, something was just off. Like I was having to force myself every time I sat down to write, which didn't feel right. It didn't feel aligned yet. And then when we were on the road this year, I chose to unplug completely, which is something I've never done for an extended period ever in the 15 years that I've had my business. But I did. And you can tell people that I'm telling the truth. I literally unplugged for 2 weeks. At least it was glorious. I did do this, correct?
Yes, you did. It was amazing.
It was weird, but also awesome. But when I unplugged, I found that I was getting some insights that I think were waiting for me to clear some room for. I think without the noise of Instagram and email and all of that things came to me, including the idea for this book. So I think we were on day 2 of our road trip, so it wasn't far in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the back at the table when you were driving, and I was reading On Writing by Stephen King, which is a book I've wanted to write or read forever. And I didn't plan this. It just happened to be the book that I picked off the shelf. And as I was reading it, I don't know, something about his writing and his encouragement for others to write just gave me this idea that I just felt so strongly tied to. It was, you have to write a memoir about the 10 years of RV traveling that you and your family have done. And also, I don't know, provide kind of the background, like why we have sought out this time on the road and time freedom in general for our family before I write that other book, because the other book is about how to achieve time freedom and how we've made it happen in our family and our lives. So I just felt like that something was telling me, higher power, whatever, was saying, yes, that book needs to be birthed, but first you need to write about your why. What has motivated you to seek out time freedom? And like you said, I kind of went crazy. I found a little notebook in the RV that was blank, strangely, and just started jotting down notes about everything because we were in it, we were on the road, and that was where it started, how it started.
That is very cool. I'm excited to read it, but you won't let me read anything yet, right? Because that's one of the
No.
rules.
Well, one of the parts of Stephen King's book, so his book on writing is part memoir about his journey as a writer, starting as a young kid. And it's really cool. He talks a lot about his life and the people and his life and all that. But then the other part of the book is about how we can write and be better writers. So, one of the things he recommends is that you don't show your writing, your first draft, to anyone. You do it in secret because you can too easily be like, things can be altered. You know, if you dug into it and you'd be like, well, wait, that story isn't exactly how I remember, or there are things that you would probably point out that I'm like, wait, but this needs to come out the way it needs to come out. So as hard as it is, because I really want to show you, I'm not showing anyone draft one. I'm just letting it flow, and then I'm going to take Stephen King's advice on the next part too. Let it marinate for a few weeks. Don't look at it at all. Don't think about it at all. And then come back, do a draft two. And then at that point, gather feedback from trusted people like you.
I think I should get a disclaimer section in some of the stories because I think you have a tendency to, remember my actions maybe a little more nutty than I remember them. So
No,
I
that's my
need to have note
perspective.
access.
No, you don't. That is my perspective. But I will take your feedback once I let you read it.
That's good. So this is obviously different than anything else you've written. You've done a lot of writing overall the past 15 years. How does this compare to that? This is a little more personal.
Yeah, I've written a lot of things, recipes, recipe posts, blog posts, emails galore, podcast episodes, a cookbook. But this is definitely different. It has felt like the most aligned project I've probably ever done. It's been a really weird kind of, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I can zoom out and look at what's happened over the last few weeks. It's only been a few weeks, and I'm kind of in awe because it's so natural. It just feels like this was meant to come out right now in this exact moment because I've just felt like this incredible flow. I sit down to write and I haven't even written out an outline. I just sit down to write and it's all just spewed out of me from word one through the end. I'm not done yet, but I'm probably halfway through. And every time I sit down, it's just like this natural flow. Like I pick up where I left off, and it is like the book was inside of me the whole time and it just needed to come out. So it feels very different from anything else I've ever done. It feels aligned and just perfectly timed and yeah, just right.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch actually from a distance because you described it well. It just seems like there's no effort. You just sit and go
There isn't.
and write as long as you want. You have a wealth of stories, obviously, to choose from our travels.
Yes, we do have lots.
Was one of the other reasons I thought maybe had an impact was that we thought this could be our 10th and final road trip that at least looks like this. We'll still do trips,
Hmm.
but as far as going out to Montana and doing the same kind of steps, we thought this might be it. Did that impact you too?
Definitely, because 10 years is a long time to live on the road. We don't live on the road full time, but even part time, I just thought, oh my gosh, a decade. We're rounding out a whole decade of this traveling. That is significant. If you do anything for a decade, it's significant. But then I thought a decade with all of these incredible stories that we have inside the decade, and not only stories, but lessons and ways that we've evolved and changed because of our travels and saying yes to the travels. There's so much in that decade. So, yeah, for sure. The fact that we rounded out 10 years was a huge reason. I don't think a year ago this would have been right to write yet. It just wouldn't have been fully baked. But now, 10 years, even though we might continue to travel in the RV, it just feels like a fully baked muffin that we're ready to deliver to anyone who wants to eat it.
Yeah, as you were describing it, when you've given me little just outline topics that you're writing, I think it's going to be a really fun lens to get at what you said earlier, kind of the why time freedom is cool. So I'm excited to read that. How how are you breaking it up? What are your different like chapters, different topics?
Ooh.
What's the flow?
Oh, I can't tell you too much, but
Mm.
like I said, it's just flowed out. I haven't given it much thought. Like, ooh, I'll start with chapter one and talk about this. It hasn't been like that at all. I just kind of started where I knew I needed to start, which was the kind of the dawn of RV travel and what prompted it, and some stories involved with that, and how it was really like divinely timed. There were so many things that were divinely timed and aligned back then. And so I talk about that. And then I just get into some stories because I know people love travel stories. They're crazy, they're wild, they're unexpected. I do a little bit of character development because you three are, and Buddy, so four of you are the main characters. So through the stories, I do character development and show people who you are. But then what I just finished is the middle of the book, and that highlights you guys. So it talks
Hmm.
more about, like, here you've been given a little bit of a teaser about who Dan, Elijah, Sammy, and Buddy are through these stories, but now I'm going to like really dig in and tell the reader really who you are from my perspective. And then I talk about the why, what has propelled me to do the RV travel and seek out this life that we've created of time and schedule freedom. So that's the middle. And then the end is just going to round out with some deeper stories now that people know who you guys are and what my motivation has been with all of this, and you know my heart a little bit more. Then we're going to get into some, I don't know how to say that, but like maybe more meaningful stories, like why Montana? Why am I drawn to the Montana mountains? And yeah, some of those just deeper things, but delivered through stories as well. So it's kind of like what started the mission, really fun, tragic, funny stories, you guys and my why, and then meaningful stories to end.
Yeah, I love that you're not worried about like it has to be this way, chronological order, or I have to do this. It just seems every time you sit down and you just start going with whatever is on your mind that day. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds throughout the book, where it's you're talking about one topic, not necessarily before or after another. I'm curious to see how you put all of those little stories together in different categories.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about why you're writing the book. As you've gotten into it further, when you think of the audience that you're writing for, who might enjoy reading it, besides me, of course, who do you think's gonna take the most from this?
I gave this a lot of thought before I even started writing because I've been a food blogger for a long time. I know that the audience matters. You can't just, you have to kind of define who is going to be consuming the book before you write it, just like with anything else. So I think this book is for women mainly. I think men will get a lot out of it too. But in my mind, my ideal reader is a woman who has maybe forgotten important things, maybe what makes her feel joy in her life. She is middle aged. I don't know. I don't like to put an age really, but like 30 to 60, maybe feeling a little bit weary and feeling a little bit of an ache for a life that she dismissed or decided not to chase, or the world told her not to chase. She's not necessarily looking for a how-to book. Instead, she's craving a companion, someone who has walked a road like the one that I and we have walked. And I want to be seen as someone walking beside her. And I'm going to try not to get teary. Wow. Just, just reminding this person that even though she feels like maybe she missed something that she hasn't. Oh, why am I crying? Okay. So just giving her permission to stop doing things that are told to her that she should do by well-meaning people and society, and to just design a life that she feels joy in and passion for. Sorry.
No, that's awesome. You can tell it means that much to you. That's exciting.
I'm all
Do you
good.
have an end date in mind when you want to wrap up by? I figure another purpose of this quick little chat will be some accountability.
Yes.
Listeners can ask you how far you're coming, but do you have a time in mind?
Yeah, that's a huge part of this too. When you mentioned, oh, we should do an interview, I was like, yes, but then, oh, it's so scary because when you put something like this out there, then you have to follow through. I can't just walk away from this project. I have to do it, which is good. I need that. So I don't have a set date, but I started this project just over 3 weeks ago and I'm halfway done. I've written about exactly half the book. So I would imagine in 3 weeks I'll be done with the last part. Then I want to let it sit for, I don't know, a good month probably, and go through that, give it another month before I write another draft and have people read through it. So what is that? End of September.
Fall.
I would love to have publishing figured out because I haven't thought through that at all. And have it in the works by the end of this year.
Yeah, a holiday gift. Perfect.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
You said that it's just kind of been coming out of you naturally. Have there been any parts that have been difficult to write? Either getting stuck or just difficult to remember?
Ooh, I haven't.
I know one for sure, but.
Ooh, you tell me, what was the one?
Well, it just wasn't fun necessarily to recall the appendix issue.
Oh, yeah, that was hard.
Thinking back on that, that was a unique, stressful, painful time. But still,
more painful for you, but yeah,
we got good lessons out of it. So
and some good stories.
It is
honestly,
a fun one.
That yeah, it's been fun to piece stories together with you because some things fade over time and just the details are like, I don't know. I don't remember this exactly how it went down. So talking through some of the stories with you has been fun. And then we remember details that we'd forgotten. But I would say nothing has been like tripped me up or created a block or anything like that. But it was really hard for me, and I haven't even told you this, to write the section that I just finished, which was talking about you and and Elijah and Sammy, and even Buddy. And I talk about Moga a little bit, our cat, and then talking about my why, but particularly writing about you guys. Ooh, that was
Hmm.
not hard. Ugh, not hard in the sense that it was hard to pull it together because I know you guys well, but it was emotional, and I would sit down and almost have resistance. Like, I don't want to go there because you guys are so awesome and just, gosh,
Yeah.
writing about you guys on that deep of a level and really digging into not only who you are, but why I love each of you so much was really challenging.
Yeah, that would be. Even some of the stories we talked about, they're definitely very emotional. So it's fun to hear you talk that emotionally and know that that's going into the book, because I think that's going to be super impactful for people.
Yeah.
Do you have a title? Do you want to tell us the title?
I think so. This could change, but I really like it because it has just some multiple meanings. But I think Take the Exit really struck a chord with
Hmm.
me because obviously that is tied to road travel, but then it also ties to the theme of you're traveling on an interstate or somewhere where everyone else is. The road is busy and people tell you should go that route, but sometimes you need to exit and take a different route, even though it's less traveled. So that kind of ties into both of those.
I like it. I like that messaging. Do you, well, you can't tell us a ton about the book, but do you have any quick little sneak peek stories that you can share that you put in there?
So many. I won't read passages, but I could tell a few stories. What do you think would be interesting? We've got the appendix story, we have the
Mm-hmm.
river adventure, we have your teenagers. That'll be a little
Mm.
tease. You have to read just to find out about Dan's notorious teenagers and all of the havoc they have caused in our lives over the years. And they're not our
No,
teenagers, they're different
no,
teenagers.
it made sense at the time. We were on our first stop in South Dakota.
Wait, should we even tell people? I think we should just tease
Oh,
it so people listen.
oh, okay, all right.
Um, because
But
it
this is one of
is,
those ones where I mean, I wasn't quite as ragingly upset as you make it sound.
well, how do
I
you know?
was
You haven't read
perplexed.
it. You don't know how I'll
Oh,
make it
oh,
sound.
all right.
Hmm.
I've just heard you tell it. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't
So
know.
that story's
So you
good.
can't tell that. Well,
Yeah,
we have to tell one story.
I know. Oh, I mean, there's like some sickness and illness type stuff that's really hard and sad that's happened on the road.
Yeah.
Funny things too, fun adventures. How about the river adventure? That one was one that we talk about all the time as a family.
Yeah.
The boys
That's a
usually
fun one.
say, yeah, they'll say that, remember that time you almost died, mom? Because they literally thought I was going to die and I did too. But we
So,
were, yeah, you can start it.
yeah, I'll set the backdrop and then you can add the
Yeah.
flair. In Montana, it's common to go float down a river, and we were staying with some friends, and we got a decent sized group together. Ryan was there, right? Sparzak
Yeah, the
and
chef for
Ethan
the
and
Eat Blog Talk
Annika and the
Retreats.
girls.
Yeah.
So there was I don't know, 10-ish people in a variety of watercraft, a float boat, a raft. Megan, you were on a paddleboard and some inner tubes. And it's kind of fun. You float down, you bring coolers, you stop along the way, have lunch. And after lunch, we kept on floating and noticed some clouds in the distance, and a storm started. Heavy rain, some hail. I think the lightning was a little further away, but when you hear Ryan tell it, he's like, I could feel it in the rod of my fishing pole.
So Dan tends to underplay things, and I probably do the opposite when we're telling stories. But the lightning was real and so freaking close. And I believe Ryan when he said that he could feel the electricity through his fishing pole because I was on the paddleboard. Keep in mind we were all in the river, and the river was not. There was no exit access. It was like kind of cliffy on the side. You couldn't get off where we were, so we were stuck in the river despite this crazy raging storm. It was hail,
Mm-hmm.
cold hail, rain, wind, and I mean, when the lightning came, I was like, you've got to be kidding me because I remember looking down the river and seeing lightning. Like I could see it and I was like, I'm not very good at science, but I think when you're in a body of water and lightning strikes, that's probably not good. I was just, oh my gosh, just praying that we would all survive that. And the boys were in a boat over here to my right with Ryan's wife. And I was alone on the paddleboard. And then you were in a separate boat in front.
Mm-hmm.
The boys were so scared. They were under towels on the bottom of the boat. I don't know if they were crying. They were upset.
I
But
don't
I
think
just
so.
remember hearing Sammy say, "My mom's going to die." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so scary for them. Are they going to be traumatized?" But
Yeah.
yeah, it was intense, but clearly we all survived it.
It was one of those moments where I remember being in the heavy rain and cold, and I had to kind of tap into the whole, okay, this is going to end. This isn't going to go on forever. It will be done soon. I don't remember how long it was, maybe 30 minutes,
Oh, it seemed like forever.
something like that.
I had the same moment, but I was being pummeled by hail by myself on this paddleboard trying to stay on it. And I was freezing, and just hail was like accumulating on my life jacket. And I had the same little self pep talk that was
Hmm.
something like, "You are going to get through this. We are all going to survive. This will be a fun story in the future." And here we go, delivering it to you now.
It is a good one. It was exciting.
Yes.
Well, I think you've given a good teaser here. Do you have any other things you want to say about the process, the book, how you want people to keep you accountable?
Oh, yeah. If you feel inspired, definitely send me an email in the next few weeks asking how it's going because that will keep me on track. I would love to be done with this by the end of the year. I just feel like it needs to be in the world, and I have no expectations as far as financial or anything really. It's just one of those things I know has to be released. I just know it. So yeah, hold me accountable. And I would love to ask you some questions. Can I ask you some questions back?
Oh, I guess. Can do that.
What are you just dying of curiosity? Are you just like, okay, let's let her finish when you see me write? Do you want to know? Do you not want to know? I'm always curious
Um,
about that.
no, I'm not dying of curiosity. We've talked enough that I have a general idea of what you're doing, so I'm just excited to see it all come together. Like I said earlier, it's been cool to see just how it's just been coming out of you, and it's been fun to reminisce too. 10
Yeah.
years. Even on this past trip, I remember that night in Bozeman, we had Ethan over, and I think you mentioned the book, and we just remembered some of the crazy stories over the past 10 years. So it's going to be entertaining for me to read. I know. Ooh, did I have some firework lessons that I just remembered too? I learned some very good lessons
Oh,
lighting off
yes.
fireworks too. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just excited to see it all come together and remember the stories, reminisce, and hear how much you love your boys. That'll be fun.
And you.
What?
And you mentioned Ethan too. He's a big part of the book because we stayed at his house for so many years. It was one of our staples in the summer, staying at his place in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be fun too, just watching other characters float in and out of the book. You don't get to know them as well as you guys, but
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Best
And then,
backyard fireworks show in the state of Montana.
oh my
That's what we
gosh,
did.
this summer
And
when
we
we were,
only, one teaser
yeah,
quick, and we only put a couple of burn holes in kids' shirts.
yeah,
So
we
no
didn't kill
real
any children.
injuries.
When we were reminiscing with Ethan this summer, he said, I didn't know this. He learned later that the neighbors that lived close to him
Oh,
would
yeah.
set their lawn chairs up each year unknowingly to him at the time to watch your guys' show because it was so good. They'd be like, oh, remember last year Ethan put on that great show? So they would prepare themselves and have a little display party, which is so fun.
Yeah, that
That
was
must
very
make you
fun.
feel honored, even though you almost killed a herd of children.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was just a small
Whew.
explosion.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
tease that for the book too. You have to
Yeah.
read to find out that story.
Just if you're lighting off fireworks this summer and it's a windy day, don't have the pile of fireworks downwind of where you're lighting fireworks because sparks are amazing and can fly a few feet over and cause some serious damage.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I'll give a little teaser to that. So, yeah, after that whole situation, I was in the RV at the time and saw what looked like a missile from war flying. It was red, flying past the RV door. And I was like, oh gosh, this is not good. I very gingerly peeked my head out and saw you and Ethan crouching behind a bush out of pure fear. It was like war. I was like, what
Mm.
is happening? And I don't even remember what you guys said, but I could tell you were freaking out.
Yeah, that may have been a different one, though. I think that was the one. We're getting a little too deep
Oh,
into
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Another lesson if you're launching two mortars off of the same board, it's not a good idea because the one will launch and compress the board. And then when the other one goes off, there's not as much to compress against. So that one, the one you're talking about, the first one shot off and went, yay, pretty. The second one went up, and I remember because like time slowed down because I just saw the mortar spinning about 60 feet above the ground, and I was like, that just doesn't seem very high. And that's when Ethan and I both turned and dove under a tree, and it went
Mm.
boom. The crowd loved it though.
Yeah.
It was nice and close.
Crowd
Boom.
pleasing and death defying. So many
Anyway.
memories. I'm combining them. I forgot that that was a different story. But
Yeah, we learned like a lesson each year.
yeah, you guys did. You could probably create YouTube videos about that, enlighten other
Yeah.
people. During our adventures, did you ever think that all of the highs and lows and crazy times and even the mundane times would become a book?
No, I don't think so. I didn't. I knew you wanted to write a book in general in the grand kind of picture of life, but I didn't know that it would be just kind of inspired by this whole experience. But like I said earlier, I think it's great. It's a great lens to look at why we do what we do and tell some fun stories along the way. So I wouldn't say I expected it, but I think it's going to be a great fit.
And it's funny because it never occurred to me, honestly, to write this book until that moment on this past RV trip. And it's kind of weird. Why wouldn't I have thought of that? But I literally didn't this whole time.
Yeah, I think it's like what you said earlier. It's just the right time. 10th trip, you're reading that book, and now is the time.
Yeah. Aside from the death defying and dramatic moments, do you have any just low key, everyday moments that you really love about our trips that I'm sure will be talked about in the memoir?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of my favorite first memories is in the RV in Deadwood. That first morning, because we usually stop once in South Dakota and then we go to Deadwood and stay just outside of town. And having my morning coffee with my little table with the huge pine trees and just the smell. I love that,
Mhm.
that morning time. And then I like nerding out with building little fires. That's kind of one of
Yes,
my
you do.
simple pleasures. I like to real finely stack them all together in little square cabin looking things. And then it's got to be lit with just a tiny flame. Yeah. Simple pleasures. Those are a couple of them.
You do have very selective, simple pleasures, and I love it because I love them too.
So I think I'll close with this question for people who may have kind of felt a nudge to do something like what you're doing. How would you encourage them to kind of listen to that inner voice? Are there even practical things like ways they can follow you on this journey? What do you think?
I think it's telling that the whole project idea came to me when I decided to get quiet. I shut everything out. So I think it starts there, just getting quiet on some level, even if it's for a day or a couple days, preferably more if you're feeling the need for it. But that's when those nudges have space to come in. And when you feel them, don't ignore it. Don't excuse it away by saying, but I have to write 5 blog posts this week and do XYZ. Make space for it, figure out how to do it, because those whispers come to you for a reason. And I think the more you listen to them, the more aligned you're going to be as a person and as a business owner. For me, it hasn't been easy to make time for this because I'm trying to write at least an hour a day. Sometimes it's more. And that infringes on a lot of things. It has required me to rewrite my days, which has been weird. But I've figured out how to do it. I've had to put some things aside. I have not published as many blog posts as I normally would have, that sort of thing. But I know this is important. So yeah, get quiet, listen to the nudges, figure out how to put it in your schedule, even if it's getting up early or working at night, whatever.
So, for people who aren't already either on your email list or following you and they want to follow along on the last half of this journey, since you're already about halfway through, where would they do that?
So get on the eBlog Talk email list for sure. Just go to eblogtalk.com to do that. And also follow me on Substack, because now that it's out in the world, I haven't shared this with anyone, by the way. This is the only time, aside from Dan and the boys. Now that it's out, I plan to talk about it more in Substack, because that's more of reflection and mindset and that sort of thing. So definitely follow me there. I include Substack links in my eBlog Talk emails, but I'll also include it in the show notes for this episode. So do that and share this episode with anyone who you feel could use inspiration, who is maybe putting a dream aside that they have ignored and they need to chase it. I think that's about it.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to read it. Appreciate your time in the basement to do this quick chat. Oh,
Yes. Oh,
did you have event special something this past week?
a special
Oh,
event. Oh, you mean a giant birthday? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh, yes, I did. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's kind of fun. I mean, you can edit it out if you want, but it's kind of fun because it'll shock people. Everyone take a
Oh,
second. How old do you think the beauty is over there? And how old are you?
well, I am 50 now on July 23rd, turned into the 50 decade.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a big one. It feels big, but not in a I thought I would feel daunted by it or afraid of it, because my parents haven't aged gracefully, and I think was a little bit fearful about how I would go into this year and beyond. But I actually feel after a few days of being 50, I mean, now I'm super wise. I feel like I'm going to just embrace the wisdom and maturity and alignment and I don't know, just all the good things that come with aging in this decade. So I'm really excited.
Best years yet to come.
Exactly. I love it. And you have a few years, so I'll wait for you. You're not quite 50 yet.
Getting there. All right. Well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah. Thank you for listening, everyone. Talk about our random RV travels, but I I really hope that you're inspired by the book. At least read it for the fun stories and hopefully more than that. And yeah, we'll talk about it more in the coming weeks and months.
Excited for it.
Yes, me too. Thank you for the interview, Dan.
Anytime.
All right. See you in a few minutes. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this topic, be sure to watch the video shown on the screen. See you next time.